I'm going to present on the competency checklist, which is sort of the final output of the PRISGRADS project. So the online mentoring self-assessment was a tool and output that we developed as part of our application to the PRISGRADS project. We wanted to have something that we can produce in a small scale opportunity that is neither sort of coming out of our bringing our resources together, but not extending it too much. And at the same time, we're also we found it really important that the mentoring self-assessment is something that can be used easily and downloadable. So what is the self-assessment? So basically, it is a list of competencies and broken down into several different parts that are important for these competencies that a mentor of graduates who work in prison services, but also just generally of new recruits needs and can support themselves in learning them. And at the same time, it also is a tool for assessors of those mentors and trainers. So for jurisdictions and prisons and training academies to understand what are the things that we want to teach a mentor and how can we teach those and assess those. Why are we doing this? So as many of you already would know, because we've spoken about this in previous conversations, it is important to us to show that mentoring is a priority in regards to recruitment of new staff into the prison service, as well as a priority in the retention of those. And we want to knowledge share. We want to create opportunities for not only people in this environment in our PRISGRADS group, but across nations, across continents, to understand how we can help each other in this field. Additionally, for the PRISGRADS project specifically, we are looking at European cross-pollination through resource sharing. So we really want to get the best practices from each other. We want to hear what's working in Romania, what's working in Germany, what is working in Czech Republic, Austria, wherever it might be, to really understand how we can share a common framework. And the last question that I would like to answer in this introduction is, how has this assessment been created? So as Rhiannon already mentioned, it's been sort of a longer journey of at the moment 11 months, soon 12, and we have not only done a mapping activity across several European countries, but also had our in-person workshop where we were diving deeply into the competencies that we as colleagues from different prison services, from different countries, and also from different organizations, not only internal but also external, find important and identify as crucial for a good mentor within prison services. So the competencies that we identified as a group are 5 core competencies. I will present them in a moment. Of course, there are many, many more. At the same time, they also kind of interlap in many, many ways. What we found crucial in all of that was that we wanted to speak about them in terms of the skills that you need for the competencies, the knowledge that you need to attain for being an expert in the competency, the attitudes that you would want from a mentor to accomplish the competency, and training materials. All of that we've done in alignment with the following 3 guidelines. So we have the Council of Europe guidelines, the Handbook for Prison Leaders of UNODC, and obviously the United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for the Treatment of Prisoners, so the Nelson Mandela Rules, as commonly known. These were really, really important to us, and we were looking through all of them when we were developing the competencies to understand how they align with international requirements. So the competencies that we've identified as a group and throughout the project have been the following. So firstly, identify mentee talent. So a mentor is supposed to really understand how they can identify, support, and nourish new mentees. It's about mentors understanding how to measure their mentees' performance and their impact. and support them in increasing that. At the same time, we identified that mentors must support the work-life balance of their mentees to build a sustainable growth and career path. Additionally, we identified problem solving and reflective practice as a really important competency in supporting a mentee in ad hoc challenges. And we identified emotional support for mentees throughout the time working in prison services as crucial to support the well-being of mentees and avoid burnout or other further issues. So the topics that we discussed within these competencies. So within identifying mentee talent, we are speaking about adaptability. So really understanding that each of the mentees are different and will have different desires and needs, and also different interests in general. And the mentors will need to adapt to those. It's really crucial for mentors to understand the system in depth, or at least know where to signpost. So really understanding what is the mentee's desire and how can I then help them bridge that gap. It's also crucial to understand how the soft skills of a mentee contribute to their daily life and work. So what are the soft skills that a prison officer needs, and how can you as a mentor support the mentee in those? One of the resources that have been shared is the Unlock Graduates Recruitment Scheme, as already mentioned by Torben. I also have in the chat now the link to the 2023 and 2024 Unlocked Impact Report, which shows the impact of the program, but also leads to the website where you can see how the recruitment works. The second competency that we've identified is measuring mentee performance. So we really thought about how can we give constructive feedback, and we're looking at resources for that. We also identified that relationship building is crucial and showing trust. So giving you all an example, in a situation of a mentor in the prison that I worked in, we had a moment where one of the mentees was telling them about a situation that happened at work, and it had been of sexual harassment nature. And the mentor was compelled to report that, but wasn't transparent about this, and didn't tell the mentee about this process and that they had to complete that process. So the mentee had really felt blindsided when they found out that the mentor had broken their trust to talk about this situation, what had happened. Because of that, the relationship had been broken and took a long time to repair. And also the mentor couldn't really be a good equivalent anymore for the mentee. So it was really important and identified there that actually you need to establish beforehand what are the expectations, what are the measures of trust, and where do situations and confidentiality might end. So if if a mentor wants to support a mentee in everything that is happening, they still need to disclose when that confidentiality will need to be broken for reasons of safeguarding. It's also important to understand career opportunities. So really, as already mentioned in the previous competency, it's crucial for a mentor to know where to go, how the opportunities evolve, and what a mentee might need to complete before climbing a career ladder or even transversing into a different role. It's also important to have integrity, so really understanding the importance of the role and the impact on the mentee's life, and be there for the mentee and have that trust available. And what we suggested as a consortium is to adapt, for example, pedagogical resources. This is just an idea. There's going to be more when I'm introducing the the online checklist also. But one of the resources is Teach Like a Champion by Doug Lemov. It is actually a teaching, as you can tell, a teaching resource, but it really speaks about how can you as a mentor really impact your mentees if you adapt it to your context. The third competency that we identified is emotional support. This is quite straightforward for many of us, so really active listening, but at the same time also setting boundaries, understanding, showing the mentee that you understand their position, but also that you are the mentor in the work environment. And some of the resources that we've identified and that will be available and accessible on the webpage are the coaching model by T. Grow and also several coaching qualifications. The second to last competency is about problem solving and reflective practice. So we were really thinking about how can that be understood by a mentor. So obviously things like critical thinking and decision making are crucial in the general role as a prison officer or as prison staff in various levels, but also it's about putting that into the mentee's perspective and showing the mentee not necessarily a solution that you would be looking for, that you would be using, but rather supporting the mentee in reflecting about their own decision-making process. And another point was the vulnerability of the mentors. So also showing that practice makes perfect and that mistakes happen, and really connect with the mentee on that level to make them understand their opportunities in overcoming the challenges that they might be facing. The last identified competency is about work-life balance. This seems oftentimes as something that is extremely hard to achieve within the prison services with the staff crisis, the recruitment challenges, and the retention, as well as the group of people that are now going into their pension. It really means that we're struggling to even have staff on the floor, which also results in many, many over hours. However, a quite interesting model that is used in Germany, for example, in Bremen, is a over hours policy that cannot be de-justified. So basically, when people are working above their normal hours, after a certain amount, they are not allowed back on shift until they've sort of reduced their overtime hours. What's important for a mentor there is obviously general soft skills such as empathy and resilience, but also role modeling. So really showing the mentee that they are maintaining their own work-life balance. And the mentor must know the work-life balance policies or also the HR policies in general of that competency. So now to the exciting part. So the online checklist that we developed is coming together through the questionnaire and practitioner perspectives. So from the 11 months that we've been working together on this project. And we created two versions. So when we were speaking to the practitioners, especially directly about this checklist, a lot of people voiced the concern of the existing tools not being so accessible. So there might be online tools and courses that you can log in and sign up to, but to actually have a resource about a specific topic, you then have to go through the whole spiel of the course, and due to that, a lot of people don't necessarily have the time, especially due to the pressures at work, and will not be able to engage in a whole module. Due to that, we saw an opportunity to create firstly a PDF that can be used within services, that it can be downloaded and that can also be printed, and also provide an online tool that is easily accessible, that really gives people the opportunity to jump to the topics that are of interest, to find resources specifically to certain skills, knowledge, and also to certain attitude support, and this can make it more accessible. So the online tool is hosted At the moment, it's still privately hosted on our homepage, on our website. This is the link to our homepage, and from there you'll be able to navigate via what we do to the PRISGRADS project, where you then are able to navigate to the competency checklist. Once this is live, it will also be sent to all participants of all of our engagements over the course of the last 11 months, so you'll be notified about this. At the first glance, there's obviously an introduction to the competency checklist and some information about future projects. When you then scroll down, you have an easy to use drop down to access all the different materials that we've been able to pull together. So for example, if you look at the key competency supporting the work-life balance of mentees, we then have the sub-points of 1.1, which is the mentor skills, 1.2, which is the mentor knowledge, 1.3, which is the mentor attributes, and then 1.4, which are general resource and knowledge support. And when you're looking at those, you can see that you have those drop downs for the different skills that we've identified on the left, and then the materials on the right. When you then click on that, so say you clicked on the first one, so 1.1.1, active listening and emotional intelligence as a skill, you can see description of that. You can then also look at ideas of how to assess that if you need some inspiration for mentor assessments. And also it's about asking yourself as a recruiter or trainer or coach of developing a mentoring scheme, what the following questions. So how to identify that the mentor can display this skill. On the right side, you then have the materials opening up, where you also get video and reading materials. Here's the whole thing just a little bit bigger, so you can also see the whole materials. So basically, we've aimed to show multidisciplinary resources where you can adapt knowledge and use the learning materials from other disciplines as well, and to the correctional context. So on the right, you will then see videos. You can click on the links. You will also see externally hosted presentations, as well as internally hosted PDFs, depending on the materials that we've provided for the skill, and also summaries from Richtungswechsel and from the PRISGRADS project.